अवधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायिने कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जन्माद्यस्य तन्मयादितरतश्चार्थेषु भिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter 25, verse number 39. So 39, we read the verse 37 and 38 yesterday, where he described the position of devotees which they attain by performing devotional service. Because in the previous verses he said that they do not desire anything, and in the last two verses he explained that they actually get the same opulence as the Lord. Because if they are relating with Him in some specific relationship, then correspondingly the power, opulence, facilities, everything becomes available to them. So this was the description of devotees which follow bhakti naturally, or this is their nature. And now in this next two verses he talks about those who have not come to that platform. So he says, imam lokam tathaivam atmanam ubhayayinam atmanam manuye cheha ye raya pashavo graha विसृज्य सर्वानन्यांश्च मामेवं विश्वतो मुखं भजन्ति अनन्यया भक्त्या तान् मृत्योरतिपारये. Says that those devotees who, abandoning everything, whether to achieve something in this world or in the next, which means something desiring in heaven, so these are the two processes, atmanam ubhayayinam, going in two directions. Mind, we want to achieve something now. And those people who believe in next life, and they also want to sometime achieve something in the next life. At present, most people are not interested in that. They want everything here and now. forget about the future. And Atmanam Anuyecheha Raya Pashvegriya, and whatever else they have in relationship to the body, whether it is house, wealth, animals. In the olden days, there were no cars, so they used to keep horses, bullock carts. So this was considered also as wealth. So he says that all this Visrijya Sarvananyasya, giving up all this and everything else which is not stated here, Mam evam Vishwato Mukham Bhajanti. They worship only me. Who he says is Vishwato Mukham means who has his face everywhere, means he is present everywhere. And then Ananya Bhaktya, one pointed devotion. So Lord says that Tan Mrityor Atipariye, I make them cross over the death. Means he grants them liberation. So these two verses, Vishnu Chakravarti says that Aswabhavikyaha Sadhan Bhaktir Udharanam. These are the examples of unnatural or sadhan bhakti when one has not attained devotion. Imam drishtam drishta bhoga asakti. Imam, which means this, it signifies attachment to the enjoyments which are available in this world. And amum means that, and that signifies adrishta bhoga asakti, attachment to enjoying something in the next world. This is also attraction in religion. Most of these human bombs, they have this idea that they are doing something for God, they are giving up their life for God, for religion, and then by doing this they will go to heaven and enjoy there. So they are sacrificing their life now by killing many people in the process, so that they can go to heaven. So that is called adrishta bhoga asakti, attachment to enjoyments which are not available now. They are not seen, they are invisible. So something which they have heard and they believe in it. Ubhayainam tad ubhaya gaminam atmanam iti ahantaspade bhoktricha asaktim vasaj. So mind, he says, is ubhayagami, going in these two directions, planning for the present life and planning for the future life. So these devotees, they give up both of them. They are not interested in any enjoyment now or enjoyment in future. So they are basically out of this concept of material pleasure, because heaven is also a place of material pleasure. It's a place where people feel that one can enjoy without obstacles. Here in the material world we would like to enjoy, but many problems come and one has to work very hard. You have to pay also a lot of taxes, and things are very temporary. You can be fired anytime. Heaven is more stable, you live long life and don't have to work very hard. So that is the attraction. But for that you have to sacrifice something here. So it's like a chess game, you sacrifice and then you win something in the end. So devotees are not interested in that, because both are material and both are actually keeping one away from God. So therefore he says that Visrijya, giving up all this, and Atmanam ahantaspade bhoktricha asakti. They give up the asakti or attachment even the material ego, which is the very basis of enjoyment, or this physical body. So physical body is considered as the instrument for enjoyment. That's why we are very much attached to it, or we like to keep this healthy, strong, young, because this is the very basis for enjoying. And if this is not fit, then you cannot enjoy. So he says that they give up their attachment in that also. Yathaiva bhogadi asaktir bhogadi prasansa gamya tathaiva tattad asakti tyagas tattat ninda gamya. He says that the attachment to sense pleasures is known by the praise people give to them. If people are praising something, that means they are attached to that. As we were talking this morning about two features of mind, like and dislike. So when somebody is praising something, or somebody, means there is some feeling of likeness in that. So if you want to know where one's person's mind is, then you have to see what is he praising. And then if there is attachment to give up something, then there is criticism for it. So he says, Tyaga Sakti is to be known from the Ninda. So many times when there is criticism given in the scriptures of some situation, some position or some people, it is to create a sense of renunciation towards that object. It is not necessary that the criticism is there to criticize the object. Like many times there is criticism of women in the scriptures. So the modern analysis is that these scriptures were written by men, and therefore they are criticizing women because they don't like men. Men don't like women, or they want to keep them down. But that is not the purpose of this criticism. The purpose of the criticism is so that men actually don't become attached to women as sense of enjoyment, as an object of sense enjoyment. Not to demean or put down the women. That is not the purpose. There is one principle of Purmansa, nahi ninda nindayatum pravartate apitu prakritam stotum. That criticism is not to criticize the object which is being criticized, but to establish what is being stated. So Shastra were not written to criticize women for sure. That is not the purpose of Shastra. Shastra were written for self-realization. And therefore the criticism is there so that it does not become an obstacle in the path of self-realization. So it is basically a criticism of enjoying sense pleasure. And because men are very much attracted to women, therefore they also say that don't fall into this, and then they criticize the woman body or woman form. And that is not to criticize women as such. So it is just to create a dispassion in the mind of man. So that should be understood, otherwise we misunderstand and then we start saying that this is hegemony, Brahminical hegemony. And that is not the reason for that. And of course sometimes when people are criticizing, that also shows their attachment to that. And this is also the story of sour grapes. And the fox is jumping, keeps on jumping, cannot get to the grapes. And she gives up the effort and says that these are sour. Because you have to satisfy your mind. Mind is attracted to something, then you want it. If you cannot get it, then how to satisfy the mind? Then you say it is not good. It's like a child is asking for something, and if you don't want to give that object to the child, then you say this object is useless, why you want this? So then criticism is done with this purpose. So either to give up the attachment, or it also shows the attachment, and when attachment cannot be fulfilled, then criticism comes. Because attachment and praise, they both, praise and criticism, they both have two sides of the same coin, that is attachment. Because in both you are thinking about the object. In one you are thinking favorably, in another you are thinking unfavorably. So here of course it is from the point of view of renouncing, and because they are renouncing it because they have something superior. Otherwise, if something superior is not available and then there is criticism, then it just shows attachment which cannot be fulfilled, like the fox and sour grapes. It's not that fox got something better, but she could not get the grapes. Then she is consoling herself, consoling the mind. Mind has to be consoled, otherwise it will keep on bothering because of the attachment. So then you console by finding fault in the object of attachment. Therefore Krishna also says that kamat krodho bhijayate, that from kama comes krodha, that you have the desire, you have the attachment. Kama means attachment, desire. You are very much attached to getting something, and then when you cannot get it, then there is anger. And anger means opposite side. So you see many times in the newspaper we read that some boy is after some girl, and the girl refuses, then he throws acid at her face. So he was very much attached to the girl, and when he could not get it, then attachment turns into anger. Then he wants to destroy. So this is the way he will console the mind. That I cannot get it, so I destroy it. But it is not good anyway. So he says that tattad asakti tyagas tattad nindagamya, that giving up attachment is also known from the criticism. Yathoktam jusmanascha tan kaman dukhodarkanscha garahe. In 11th Canto, while Krishna was teaching to Uddhava, he and explaining Bhakti Yoga, he said that a person, when he develops Shraddha, then he becomes detached in material pursuits. Jata Shraddho mat kathasu nirvinnaya sarva karmasu. Veda dukhatmakan kaman parityageti anisvara. And then he knows that these material desires, material objects are the cause of suffering. But he is unable to give them up. Parityageti anisvara. Knowing is one thing, and able to do it is another thing. So many people know that drinking or smoking is not good, but they go on doing it. They are unable to give up. So parityagepi anishvara. So then what do? They go on and they don't even criticize it, although they know it. But in case of devotees who have developed Shraddha, tato bhajeta mam prita shraddhalu dridha nishya. The meaning of Shraddha is that he has a faith or belief in this process, and this will bring welfare to him. And therefore he is not interested in sense pleasures anymore, knowing that this is not going to give him the welfare, or this will not bring good to him. But what happens that he is unable to control his senses. So this is a very problematic situation. That you know that you have to follow the spiritual path and you should not engage in material sense pleasures. At the same time, mind is very much attached to sense pleasures and it is beyond your control. And therefore when the opportunity comes, then you go for it. So that is being described here, that what he does is that Jushmanascha tan kaman dukho darkanscha gariham, that he engages in these sense pleasures. But at the same time, dukho darkanscha gariham, he knows that this will result in misery and therefore he does not appreciate what he is doing. Although he undergoes the experience, he does not approve of it in the mind, or he does not like it himself. So he does it without fully getting into it. And this is the only way that he will get out of it. So this is how the situation is for the beginner. तथा आत्मानं अनुलक्षीकृत्य ये पुत्र कलत्रादय ये च व्यवहारिकः रय प्रभृतयः. And then whatever things are existing in relationship to his own self, such as wife, children, or things which are used in one's daily life, his possessions, his wealth. So he gives up on this. He loses interest in that. Visrijya sarvam, giving up everything. Giving up is not like physically giving up, because you give up everything, how you will live. But this is not the goal anymore. It is not his goal now that he has to make money. And then that is the purpose of life, just to become a millionaire. Some people have that aim, that I want to be a millionaire. Or I want to have 2 houses, one for the summer vacation, one for the winter. So whatever, these are not the interests of such a person anymore. That is the meaning of giving up. So anyanscha, anything else, mam evam vishvato mukham, and then he sees me everywhere. So when you give up these things, then you see God everywhere. When you don't give up, then you don't see God, then you only see sense objects. You see what is inside, what is your bhav. Sarvabhutesu yapased bhagavad bhavam atma. So he says that Lord is Vishvato Mukham. Vishvato Mukham te yasyam disim yanti tatraiva aham tesam abhimukham eva vartate. Vishwa means all around and Mukha means face. So he says wherever they go, they see me. You cannot avoid seeing me. So So this is meaning of the Shraddha. When you develop Shraddha in Bhakti, then wherever you go, you cannot forget Krishna. This is the characteristic of Shraddha. But everything will remind you of him. Just as when our Shraddha is in sense pleasure, then we see sense pleasure in whatever we see. If our Shraddha is in making money, then wherever we go, we only see how you can make money with this situation. Even if you go on vacation, you think that how can I make money here also? So similarly, when there is Shraddha in Bhakti Yoga, then Lord is present everywhere. In all circumstances, your thought changes, your thinking process changes.
Is this on the Uttama level or on the Madhyama level?
This is just the beginning level.
In the beginning level?
Yes. That is the power of Bhakti. Uttama level, of course.
But in the Uttama is stronger.
Uttama is much stronger. Ananya Devatantar Bhakti Gyan Karmadi Sunya. And they engaged in Bhakti, which is Ananya Bhakti, or pure devotion, unmixed, which means that no devotion to any other deity. You have to be fixed on one, not that you have the whole museum and worship this also, worship this also, worship this also. So that is not Ananya Bhakti. So Ananya Bhakti is only to like a chaste woman devoted to one husband. And if she has more than one, then she is considered as unchaste. So Bhakta, the devotee, is also like a chaste wife. Krishna says this in 9th canto. Vasi kurvanti mam bhaktya satpatim satstriyayat. That's like a chaste woman controls the husband. Like that, my devotees control me. That's why Lord becomes controlled. And he also reciprocates then correspondingly. So Ananya means that there is no other deity or object of worship, and also it means that there is no other goal. Because you may have this Ananya Bhakti to one deity, one form of the Lord, but you are doing it for some other purpose, not for Bhakti. So Ananya signifies two things, that you have one devotion only to one form of God, and number two, devotion to that God only for the sake of devotion and not for some other motive. So that is the meaning of Ananya. Anya Vilasita Sunya. So Gyan Karmadi Sunya. Not that you want liberation, you want freedom from some problem, you want some good situation, you want protection, prayer for protection. Nothing like that. So that is Ananya. Not only Bhakti. Marovi Rakhovi Joy Chatuhar. Whether you keep me, you kill me, that is your will. But I only want to be engaged in your service, that's all is my desire. Nrityoho sansar sindhu. So then what Lord does is that He Atiparye, He makes such a devotee go beyond the ocean of material existence. Bhakti matra abhilashitvena sansara param anichchatopi tanatikramya pare. So a devotee who is asking only for bhakti, and therefore he is not asking that he should be made free from material existence, but still Lord makes him free from that material existence. So in the prayer of Siksastakam, Lord Chaitanya says this, Mam Janmani Janmani Swani, birth after birth. Which means he is not saying that you take me out of this material world. He is only saying that Bhaktad Bhakti Rahit Kitvai, that let there be only pure causeless devotion to you, nothing else. So this is the only desire of a devotee. This is the summum bonum of all desires. There is no need of having too many desires and confusing yourself. That I have this, I have that. Just have one desire and fulfill that one desire, then all other desires are fulfilled. So this is the Maha desire, supreme desire. That you fulfill this one, then you don't have to again run after desires. So one big one. There is saying in Sanskrit that Sarve Pada Hasti Pade Nimagna. That all the footprints, they come within the footprint of an elephant. This is the big one. There is no other footprint which is as big. So just get that one, everything is content. Superset. Pare param prapyamiti taneva evam agyapitva. So when he says that I make them cross material world, it means not by telling them. It's not that God tells them that I am going to liberate you. It says without their actually knowing it. They will not know how they got out of it. Those who are looking for liberation, they have to work hard and they have to meditate on it. But the devotees don't have to meditate or think or desire to become liberated. This God will give without our knowledge. So he says, Yaduktam Jarati Ashu Yakosham. As it was said that Jarati Ashu Yakosham Nigirnam Anuloyatha. And just as the food is digested by the fire in the stomach without our actually knowing it. It happens. So like that, the mukti comes without asking for it. There is no need to ask. So now he concludes. नान्यत्र मद् भगवतः प्रधान पुरुषेश्वरात् आत्मनः सर्वभूतानां भयं तीव्रं निवर्तते. It's very interesting that he brings this verse of fear now. Out of nowhere, he suddenly talks of fear. He says that without my bhakti, there is no freedom from fear. Bhayam tivram nivartate sarvabhutanam atmana. Without performing bhakti to the Lord, says that I am the Supreme Lord. I am the master of Prakriti and Purusha both. And I am the very soul of every being. And without taking my shelter, there is no possibility that one can become free from fear. So this is trying to attract people. After speaking so much about bhakti, what was the need to say this? So now he's coming down a little bit because he's saying you should perform bhakti without any desire, without this, without that. And people are sitting here that I have this problem, I have that problem. So everybody is insecure. So he says that the only security is in bhakti yoga. You want to become free from insecurity in the old age, or insecurity from financial problems. So he says this will never happen unless you take shelter of me. Without bhakti there is no security. So this is like now showing something to attract, like trying to give something which people are looking so that they can become interested in bhakti. Trying to create interest. Otherwise, who is interested in bhakti? So he says, Mad bhaktim vinatu naiv nistara. After speaking how great is bhakti, he says that don't think that you can escape and think that bhakti is not for me. I am not interested in this going to the spiritual world and doing service. I am alright with going to heaven or making some arrangement to enjoy here. So he says, look fellow, I am telling you openly, in plain words, without going this way or that way, that without bhakti you will never be happy. Even if you go to heaven, there is a problem. Because when people go to heaven, they get a garland. And this garland never fades. And when it starts fading, then you know that now it's time to be kicked out from there. So you're always worried when your garland is. Every morning you wake up, you look at the garland. Is it fading? Because you see some people, their garlands are fading. Because many people are going, many people are also coming down from there. There's a traffic like you go on the airport. So some are taking flight out and some are coming in. It's not that people are just going to heaven. There are also many people who are coming out. So those who are coming out, they have faded garlands. So this is one sign that now the time has come. The flight is over. So then there is always worry there also. Not that there is no worry, there is also envy there. People are envious because somebody is having more enjoyment than you. Somebody has got better wine to drink than yours. Or better woman than what you have. So there is fear, there is anger, there is envy, everything is there. So therefore he says that without bhakti, there is no freedom from the troubles. Matto anyatra mam vina mad bhakti vina. Besides me, which means besides my bhakti. My bhakti is the only thing which will make you free from the troubles. And he's saying it with compassion. Bhakti vishay bhutasya swasya ananta swarupatvepi visheshan trayena purva purva mukhyani sevya swarupani kanichit suchet. So there are many forms which can be worshipped. Lord has got many forms which are worshipable, which are object of devotion. But out of that he refers to 3 forms here. And out of these 3, the first one is better than the second, and the second is better than the third. And of course, by the law of transitivity, the first is better than the third. If A is more than B and B is more than C, then A is more than C. So therefore the first one is the best one. So that's what he's saying. So first one he says is Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means Sri Krishna. Prathamtah Purna Sri Krishna. Krishna is the Paripurna Bhagavan. There are other Bhagavans also. Ram is there, Vishnu is there, Narayana is there. But they are lower than Krishna. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. So Ete Chans Kala Puncha, Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. All others are Ans and Kala. They are expansions, parts. Krishna is not an avatar of anybody. People usually think that Krishna is Vishnu's avatar. That is one big misconception in the mind of Indians. They think that Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. Because the avatars are all avatars of Vishnu. All the avatars, when you see, they are avatar of Vishnu or Narayana. Narayana is another name for Vishnu. So they are all Vishnu avatar. Whether it is Vaman, Nrsimha, Kurma, Rama, they are all avatar. Krishna is not an avatar. He is himself, the boss. So therefore this verse of Bhagavatam is very important. It lists all the avatars, prominent ones, and then says that these are ansakala, they are parts and parts of parts. But Krishna is not avatar, he says he is Swayam Bhagavan. So he is the Paripurnatama Bhagavan, he is the most complete manifestation of God. All other gods are also Paripurna, they are complete, but there is something which is not in them, which is in Krishna. Krishna has got 4 qualities which are not found in anybody, in Lord Ram or Vishnu or Narayana. So those 4 make him supreme, superior than any other. So that is the first one, Bhagavan Prathamata Purna Sri Krishna. Then comes Sri Ram, Tata Sri Ram, Pradhan Purusheshwara Param Vyonanath. So he is the master of Pradhan and Purusha. He is the Lord of Paravyoma. And then come the Vishnu forms. Tata Atma, Prakriti Antaryami, Samashti Antaryami, Vyashti Antaryami. There are 3 Vishnu forms. One is the controller of the complete material nature. Another is the controller of one universe. Because there are millions of universes in the material nature, material creation. And then the third one is the controller of every individual being. So there is one Vishnu form in every living being, and there is one Vishnu form who is in charge of the whole universe, and then there is another Vishnu who is in charge of the whole material creation, including all the universes. So these are called Purushas, or sometimes Antaryami. So first Purusha, second Purusha and third Purusha. Purusha Avatara, and then there are avatars who are avatars of these Purusha, Matsya Avatar, Kurma Avatar, etc. So these are different avatars. So one will become free only by worshipping any one of them. Then he says that about fear, he says Mad Bhayat Vati Vatoyam Surya Stapti Mad Bhayat. Varshati Indro Dahati Agnir Mrityuscharati Madbhayat. One says that you are saying that you will be relieved from become free from fear if you take shelter of you, but fear is coming from what is called El Nino. El Nino? The big, what is it called? Not typhoon, but
So weather pattern, weather patterns.
you know these things which come from tornadoes.
Oh, tornadoes,
People fear them.
hurricanes.
Hurricanes. Because they are the cane of the Hari. Hurricane. So they come to beat the people. And that's why people fear the hurricane. So hurricane, so that people are afraid of hurricane, not of Hari, but of the Hari's cane. So he says all these fears which you are talking about, they fear me. So if you take shelter of me, you take shelter of Hari, then you don't have to fear hurricane. Because hurricane is only under the control of Hari. So therefore he says, Mad bhayat vati vatoyam. He says the wind is blowing because of my fear. Whether it is hurricane or typhoon or tornado or storm or whatever. And Surya's tapti mad bhayat. And the sun is shining because of my fear. Varshati Indro Dahati Agni Mrityuscharti mad bhayat. And Indra is bringing rain. Fire is burning and the death is performing its function because of my fear. So don't fear from any of these things. Nanu?
You say because of my fear?
Yes.
Who's speaking to say my?
Kapila.
His fear?
Yes.
I don't quite get the connection.
Because of his control, they are under his control.
Kapila?
Yeah. He is the Lord.
Oh, yes, okay.
He is the supreme controller.
Yes.
So everybody is working under his control. So idea is that if you take shelter of the top boss, then you don't have to fear these small guys. But if you don't take shelter of him, then you have to have fear from everyone. And then you have to propitiate all of them.
This is impurity.
Yes. So nanu ananya bhaktya iti tvaya uktam atah anye khalu asevita deva kupyanta tvad bhaktam kadachit dukhiyanti nava iti tatra satopa mahanaviti. So if someone says that you are saying that become unalloyed devotee, take shelter of you, say then what about the other devas, these divinities, they will become upset, and becoming upset they will trouble the devotee. But what is this? You are forgetting us and just surrendering to God. So then what will happen? So then Lord, he speaks very proudly. He says everybody is afraid of me. Srutischa bhisha asmad vatah pavte bhisha deti surya bhisha dasmin agnesya indrasya mrityur dhavati panchami. And he is also quoting one statement from the Vedas where it says that because of the Lord's fear, the wind is blowing, sun is moving, fire, Indra, they are performing their activities, and death is running, the fifth one. Teni adhikamapi te mad bhaktam kadachit api dunvanti tada tans tad adhikaradapi adhapati utum naiva aham vilambeti bhava. It says that if any one of these people will ever trouble my devotee, then I will not delay in removing that fellow from his post, because he is the one who has given the post to Indra, to sun. So if they try to trouble the devotee, then he will kick him out. So how dare you can trouble my devotee. ज्ञान वैराग्य युक्तेन भक्ति योगेन योगिनः क्षेमाय पादमूलं मे प्रविशन्ति कुतो भयम्. Say therefore the yogis, now he is talking about the yogis, not about the devotees. They endowed with knowledge and renunciation and performing bhakti yoga for their welfare, they take shelter of my lotus feet and attain freedom from fear. So even yogis are not free if they don't take shelter of the Lord. Suddham bhakti muktva jnanadi mishram bhakti maya jnanati. So after explaining what is pure devotion, then he explains mixed devotion. So this is called Gyan Mishra Bhakti. That he is performing bhakti but with a mixture of jnana and with the desire to get liberation. And this is the last verse of this chapter. Etavaneva lokesmin punsham nishresodayah tivrena bhakti yogena manomayarpitam sthiram. This indeed is the appearance of supreme welfare for human beings in this world, that they engage their mind with intense bhakti yoga and fix it in me. Mayarpitam sthiram. So this is the final conclusion of his teachings in this chapter. The question which was asked, that the only welfare, although he spoke of 3 paths, and he will speak later on also. But his concluding remark is that the most auspicious process which brings welfare to every human being in this world is that fixing the mind in bhakti yoga without any other desire. So this is the end of 25th chapter of 3rd Canto, and this is the last class in this session, and we will resume our lectures in October. If there is any question.
I want to know if I heard it correctly. You said that of the 3 forms of the Lord, Bhagavan being the best, then Ram, Lord Ram, in charge of Pradhan and Purusha. That's like Sita and Lakshmana.
No, Lord Ram.
That Lord Ram?
Yes.
Okay. What is the significance of that?
Significance, basically just giving like a gradation. Means after Krishna, Lord Rama is next most powerful form of Lord.
Another question is regarding the fading garland of the devatas. What is the real meaning behind it? Do they get a real garland of flowers
Yes.
for their whole life? And they
For
sleep
whole
with,
stay.
for their whole stay,
Yeah.
and they sleep with it?
You can remove the garland when you sleep, there is no problem. Just like you have some necklace. You can remove the necklace when you sleep.
Okay.
It's not that it's sticking to your body.
Okay.
You can hang it on a peg and put it again.
Okay. Quite nice, that one. Okay.
And even if you don't put it again, you can keep it hanging. But you will know that when it starts fading, then time is coming.
Yes, when it starts fading, you put it away.
No, even if you don't put it on all the time, you can remove it and keep it. When the date starts fading, then you know that your time is up.
Time's up. Okay. would like to go back, if no one else has a question, I'd like to go back to the point of what you were speaking about, criticism in the Shastra, right? And specifically on the point of criticizing the feminine gender. And I don't have experience of other Shastras, the Bible in my childhood, but other Shastras, do they also criticize women in the same way?
Which other Shastra?
I don't know.
I'm talking about Vedic scriptures.
Yes, but my question is that do you know of other Shastras?
Which other? You say something.
I don't know, other faiths?
I mean, some name. What do you mean by other?
Quran?
And not reading scriptures. Cool.
I don't know. Actually, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Puranic literature or the Smritis.
Okay, so if it's keeping to the Vedic system, then my experience is that it's mainly of this where there is quite a bit of criticism in this line. Well, as you explained it, it's not criticism directly, but it's for another purpose. But within the system of Vedic culture, the women are, well, I don't know, are they disempowered? Because criticism or putting in a subordinate position usually means one is disempowered.
I already said that the purpose is not to criticize the woman,
Yes.
but to make men lose interest in women so that they don't exploit them. It is for the security of women, for the protection of women.
Yeah.
Just like when you glorify some object, then people go for that object. And if you criticize some object, then you avoid that object.
But the dependents, like this one slogan that says that the women, children, old people and cows, they're the dependents. Now, in Vedic culture, are these four, because they're dependent, are they in a subordinated and disempowered position because of that?
What is the meaning of disempowered position?
You're not able to function in society in a way that you're able to protect yourself,
Yeah, of
that
course.
you're able to
That's-
take care of yourself.
That's what it means. If they are dependent, obviously that's what it means. What is the meaning of somebody being dependent? Means he's not capable of taking care of himself or herself. Then he has to depend.
Okay, that
And it is
answers.
not a question that they are disempowered in Vedic culture. It's nothing to do with culture.
Gotcha.
Old man is disempowered, whether old man is in Vedic culture or any culture. He is dependent. A child is dependent. Isn't it? It has nothing to do with culture. Now in case of women, they also recognize that they are not capable of taking care of themselves. And now,
Taking care of themselves?
yes, that is the meaning of being dependent. So they also understood this.
You say?
Vedic culture, we are talking about Vedic culture. I mean, who wrote this scriptures, and therefore they wrote it like that. So they recognized it, and therefore they made rules to protect them.
Okay, so what about the case of Draupadi? When king that they took shelter of, Draupadi and the 5 Pandavas, when they were in exile, they took shelter of the king for the last year. and the brother of the queen was harassing Draupadi, and the queen did not protect Draupadi, but in fact put her in the position of being raped, exploited by the prince, the queen's brother. So that's when Bhima went and taught him a very harsh lesson. And I read this in the Mahabharata. And then this prince was a very, very powerful general in the army. And in the description of him, it was describing that he was always, constantly, raping the wives of the soldiers, right? And then later on, under political pressure, the king gave permission for Draupadi to be burnt on his pyre. You know, so there are incidences like this that don't show full protection.
Yeah.
You know, so how do you understand that?
How do I understand means what? Was it prescribed by the scripture? You're talking about the behavior of people, or you're talking about the prescription of Shastra? You don't mix these two things.
Okay.
And
Because
this is what people make the mistake.
okay.
Shastra is giving one prescription, and if people do not follow that, and instead of seeing that it is people who have the problem, they think that it is Shastra which has problem, it is religion which has problem.
Then why did the Shastra praise this king?
Which king?
The king who gave permission for Draupadi to be burnt on the fire.
Where is it praised?
In Mahabharata?
What is the praise?
Huh?
What is the praise?
I don't remember it, but I remember it's a long time back, but I remember the praise. He was being praised as being a wonderful king. He was
So
taking
he-
care and everything.
Yeah, so he may have that praise if he was praised for something. It's not that he has one problem. He may have had other good qualities, but he was not able to protect this woman because he was actually weak in front of this Kichaka. Kichaka was his brother-in-law. You're talking about King Virat. So Kichaka was the brother-in-law and he was very powerful. So he was actually dependent on his strength.
Yeah, that's what I meant by political.
So therefore he is now not following the law of protecting a woman for his own safety or for whatever reason. So this is not that, now this is Shastra telling this fellow that don't protect this woman, let her be burnt on the pyre. That is his decision.
So he failed as a ruler, as a king, and his duty of a king to give protection to his citizens.
Right? He should protect, but
So
he did
then
not do that.
that leaves those who are dependent according to the structure of the society without any protection. That leaves those who are made dependent according to the structure of the society without any protection whatsoever. Right? Because one was that the prince was raping the woman constantly, so he was not being stopped. Right? And the other was that the whole, the top head of that community did not have the strength to stop a woman being burnt on the fire.
Yeah.
You know, so within that structure, the women are left helpless.
Yeah.
If
I mean,
they-
if this is what happened, then naturally he did not protect.
yeah.
That means he was not strong enough to do his duty. And as I said, that he was very much afraid of his brother-in-law. Could not do anything against him, he was so powerful. So even if he wanted, he could not. That was the situation. This Kichak was very powerful.
There's King Virat,
Kichak,
Kichak.
his brother-in-law who was raping or who was trying to rape even Draupadi, he was very powerful. And Virat was not strong enough to fight with him or kill him or stop him. He did not have the strength to do anything with him.
So he was failing in his duty as a king. He wasn't strong enough
Because he was not capable of doing his duty. He could not do it.
because of the situation.
Yes. I mean, if you are, suppose there is a husband
Yeah.
and he has his wife and children, so it is his duty to protect them.
Yes.
But if 10 men enter in the house and rape the wife, and husband cannot do anything, so then what can you do?
That's different to the position of a king.
I'm just giving an example. It is not different. I'm giving an example because you can understand this. Kings we have not seen. We only read them in the stories.
That's one thing.
And we think that king is God. But kings are also human beings. They also have their problems. That's why I'm giving this example which you can relate to. So if some strong people come and do this, then you can say yes, he failed in his duty to protect them, but also not that he did not want to do it, but he was incapable of doing it. So king have the responsibility to protect their subject, but sometimes they may not be capable of doing it when some other stronger person comes. And what can they do? They are not God. Not that they have the power to curse or stop. They are also human beings and they have their limitation. So Kichak therefore was terrorizing and he could not help it. And therefore the sister also could not help it. She tried to tell him. She tried to scare him. And don't mess up with this woman. She is this and this. She has Gandharva for the husband. And because that's all she could do. But he did not care. He was so much intoxicated by his power. He was very proud. It is natural. When people have power, they become very proud.
Yes. So now, another, not aspect directly of this point, but in that my experience in India, and today everything is very degraded, but also in the Shastras, well not Shastras, but in the Vedic scriptures, there's different incidences of violence towards women. But here in India, which is the very poor remnant of Vedic culture, the violence towards women is one of the worst in the world.
Which one?
Violence
Varna.
is one of the worst in the world, right? And
I don't know if it is the worst, but if you say yes, go ahead.
well, the World Health Organization, WHO, had done their
Actually, you see, these are very subjective things. India has more than 1 billion people. Okay? More than 1 billion. If you know what a billion means, it has population more than 1/5 of the whole world. So to give any statistics about India, WHO, how many people are there in WHO?
I don't know of another country, maybe you do.
So therefore what I'm saying is that when they give statistics, there's a lot of things behind it. There's politics going on, there's religious politics, all kinds of things are there. So don't always believe what they say.
No, I don't always believe
But
what
even
this-
to accept your point that okay, there is a maximum violence against women in India now, what is the question?
Because there, see, that's why I started asking the first question about what is stated in other Shastras, because I don't have exposure to that.
And you should go to the Muslim countries and you see the violence against women if you want to see. You can give a talaq just by saying 3 times talaq. Divorce, 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 and it's divorced.
Acha.
And now you can send an SMS and you are divorced. And you are divorced, that's all. And you sorry Allah.
But this, my experience is here, and I don't know I mean, like you were talking about throwing acid in the face, right? And like there was the example that I read and I told you about before about in Lucknow, the wife was killed, burnt alive because she gave birth to two girls.
Yeah, there are many instances. Every day I read some stories like this.
Yeah, and in the Vedic Shastras, there is a strong favoring towards the male, not the girl. Mm. So I've always had this doubt that the criticism and the way the society favors the male role
Mm-hmm.
and the way the Shastras presents things from the male perspective, right? It has its effect and influence on the position of woman. And
Yeah, it has an influence. I'm not saying that, but again, I'm trying to tell you to understand these two things, and that there is Shastra and there are people.
right.
Now, people are not studying Shastra anymore. You know this very well. How many people you know that they have studied Manusmriti or any scripture properly? How many people even have Manusmriti in their house? So when you say Shastra, 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 that is because you are studying Shastra and you are talking about Shastra. But how many people in India are actually studying Shastra? And none of these people who are doing violence against women are studying Shastra. They don't have any Shastra in their house, nor they study any Shastra. There's nothing. There's just all degradation of religion which happens over a period of time when you don't study it, and misconceptions, and all because of social evils, because human mind wants enjoyment, and therefore it will use everything for its pleasure. Whoever has power will exploit the weak person. Now you may say that Shastra is male oriented. I will say yes, it is male oriented because it is meant to protect women, therefore it has to be male oriented. But it is not saying that you burn the women or you burn the fetus or kill the fetus in the womb if it is a female child. Or if a girl is born, then don't bring her up nicely or don't give her education. There are no statements like this. Or if a husband is dead, then burn the woman alive with the dead body. There are no statements like that in Shastra, nor there are any examples of such things. So if people are doing it, they are not doing it on the basis of Shastra. In fact, they are doing it because they don't study Shastra.
Okay.
The very reason they do it because they don't study Shastra, that's why they do it. If they were actually studying Shastra, they will not do it. Because Shastra is not asking or imploring or advising anyone to do anything like this, but it is advising to do something else. Manu is very clearly saying that where women cry, then there will be misery there. Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devata. And where woman is worshipped, then divinity flourishes there. So then how you can say that Shastra is against women?
I'm not saying that.
Well, you're not saying, but that's what you're telling me.
No. This is what I've experienced.
So this
is
violence
what I've
which
read.
is in India and which you are experiencing has nothing to do with Shastra, that's what I am saying.
Okay.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Shastra, and if it has anything to do with Shastra, that is that people don't study Shastra.
I don't see that.
That is the only relationship of this violence against women or exploitation. Otherwise it's just human nature, anywhere, not only in India. If the amount of poverty which is existing in India will be in America, they will be 10 times more violent there. In India, I am telling you that people are so poor that they are not making $1 per day. I already said that 80% of the people in India are living less than $1 a day. And still it is not violent. Now, if such situation comes in the West, they will kill each other. You will see the violence there. So this is nothing, what you are seeing. And as I said, that also never forget that India has 1.3 billion people. So if you see few cases which you hear, it is nothing if you compare with the population of other countries where also such things happen. It's not that such things don't happen in other countries.
Yes, no,
But these things are very much exaggerated and shown, and that is the politics behind Hinduism which is going on. It's very much in the mind of other religions how to put this religion down, because every other religion is very much scared of Hinduism, and they are doing all kinds of things to degrade and criticize and show that this is the worst religion on the planet. Therefore Hindus must convert to other religion. This is all kind of politics behind it.
Acha, I have one question. So regarding your question, see, so much atrocities committed on women, and particularly I can see all over the world the incident come across, we read and hear. So it hurt me so much. So from Shastra or from
I will tell you about the atrocity. Just today's newspaper, and this is in America. This is not India.
I read it.
This is a girl who took her sister,
7-year-old
7-year-old daughter, sister,
sister.
and a young girl took the 7-year-old girl to a party, and men, I don't know, 8 or 10 men raped this 7-year-old girl in front of her and paid her. And she got the money from them. And she watched the whole thing. This is happening in America. So in India you are talking about these things, but what is this? So where is the protection for women?
It's nowhere.
there is solution from Shastra or from our
So in India, these types of crimes, as you are saying, that burning or killing the child, this is happening because people are so poor that they even sell their children. Sometimes they don't have food to eat, and poverty brings all kinds of evils. So that has nothing to do with religion. The rich people also, this girl is not poor, who took her own sister and got her raped. And 7-year-old kid.
You want to?
Yes.
I would just like to.
Something about Krishna. You were saying that Krishna was now in this last capítulo, chapter. People are confusing that Krishna is not the origin, the source. They think that he is an incarnation of Vishnu.
Yes.
And somewhere I read or heard, I don't know if this is correct, but I think Balaram and Krishna went to visit Vishnu, and Vishnu was
That is Arjuna and Krishna.
Arjuna and Krishna. And was there Vishnu saying to Krishna, oh, here comes my incarnation, or something like that?
No. He didn't say that.
Okay. Now, Krishna appears in a certain time, once, I think, in a certain time. But there are three, in the other kalpas, he appears dark too,
Yeah.
but it's not the same Krishna, is it?
No.
And which one would that be?
And the form Vishnu.
A form of Vishnu.
Yeah.
And has two hands or four arms?
He can have 2 hands, 4 hands, but he's not Krishna.
And in these cases, never, when it's not the original Krishna, then never these 5 relationships with him will be,
No, not possible.
it's not never revealed.
No.
So only now, where we are in this time where we are now, so we are very fortunate to be now born.
We take the opportunity.
If we take fortunate.
Otherwise we can also be very unfortunate.
Okay, and about the other Krishna is.
It is not that he is other Krishna, it is not necessary that his name is Krishna, it could be any other name. Vaman Dev also comes. He has also two hands.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be Krishna.
Okay. But does the Srimad Bhagavatam is written in each cult, in all
Yes.
Kali Yuga?
Yeah.
But if the
The descriptions are different. It's not always
like the 10th chapter will not appear just till the 9th or so.
whatever, I don't know which way to go. In
Or different.
Bhagavatam itself we have different levels of Bhagavatam. Only 4 verses of Bhagavatam, and there are different sampradayas of Bhagavatam.
Okay, so from what you're saying, I just want to check my
You
conclusions.
see, let me tell you one thing. Let me answer your questions. That human beings, whether man or woman, it doesn't matter, have the misidentification with the body. Just understand the basic principles which we have been talking all the time. And because of that, they have the desire to enjoy the senses naturally. And for enjoyment, you need resources. You need money, you need power, you need wealth. So whoever has power and whoever is not educated in the scriptures, which means at least not situated in sattva, if not transcendental, and is under the influence of rajas and tamas, it doesn't matter male or female, Indian or non-Indian. Because people are in India and India is supposed to be the land of religion, so whatever Indians do, they relate it with religion, and then religion is blasted. It has nothing to do with that. It is human mentality, human psychology all over the world, and also applicable to women. If a woman is in power, then she will also be cruel like that. Don't think that she will not be. Women have also been more cruel than men, and they have the power. They can get killed people just like that, without any compassion. You can get their own husbands killed. All kinds of politics in the royal women. This was a picture of Japanese movie, that all this lady was working to get so many people killed. And because they are women, they can seduce the man and then take advantage of that. It is their power. This is a soft power. So this exploitation will always be there if a person is not spiritual. Man, women does not matter. And it also does not matter whether somebody is rich or poor. Basically it comes from ignorance and identification. So that is the real problem. But we don't understand that problem, and because we ourselves are part of the problem, then we try to analyze the problem. So while analyzing the problem, we are also projecting our own problems and our own ideas and things from which we are coming, our own background, as we have been discussing now in the psychology course, that how the samskaras are working. So depending on what kind of samskaras I have, then I try to also see things like that. But you have to see the clear picture, that people in India, you say they are Hindus, but what is Hinduism? And how many people actually know what is Hinduism in India? And how many people are really following it? And are they real clear? At least in Christianity, it is easy that you have one book and you go to the church and you do certain things. In Hinduism, it is such a thing. People have mass confusion. So it is very difficult now to make statements that this exploitation of women is because of this and it is happening because of that. It's very difficult to say that. If one has to analyze these things, one has to analyze from various different angles. But if one wants to only see it from the scriptural point of view, from the religious point of view, then you will start seeing things like that. Now in India we have a dowry system, right? To give you an example. So you may say that because in the scriptures there is mention of dowry and therefore it is an evil. But there the mention of dowry is not that you have to demand it. It is the parents gave by their own will. We read how Manu married his daughter Devhuti to sage Kardama, and he gave a lot of dowry. Kardama did not demand it. But then it becomes a social evil. When people start getting it, then it comes, they also start demanding it. So now it has come to that level that when there is a marriage, then they demand dowry. Now if they demand dowry and they cannot give it, then they harass the girl. Now this has nothing to do with the Shastra. Or if the girl is born, the father is already in anxiety that when I have to marry, I have to give dowry and I will not be able to do it, so better I kill the girl. Or I get it about it. So these are social evils, which you can trace them into the Shastra, but Shastra did not propagate that. That was not the purpose of that. Shastra's purpose was that if a young man and woman they are getting married, naturally they will need some facility to start their house. So help them with that. That was one thing. And previously, because girl is leaving the house of the father and going to be part of another's family. So if a father has 2 sons and 1 daughter, then his property will be divided in 2 sons and the daughter is going to the other family. So then it also behooves that some of the wealth from this house is given to the daughter, because she was also one of the children of the father. So that was another reason that the dowry was given. In a way it was a compensation, because she was not inheriting the property of the father. Therefore she got some dowry which was called Stridhan. It was in her name. And it was also for the protection of the woman. It was not for the husband, actually the money was given to the woman, so that she feels protected. Now men take it, that is a social evil again. So these social evils will always come because of ignorance, because of irreligiosity, and because of rajas and tamas, these gunas. That is the proper understanding. And then the solution, we have to know that how to find a solution. Otherwise you go on criticizing, it has no meaning. Okay, now you criticize the scriptures and you criticize the Hindu religion and you criticize Shastra and the written. Then what is the solution? There is no solution. Then you bring this woman and put them on the street. Then still men will rape them, which is happening all over the world. Everywhere it is. So that is not a solution.
So, as I was trying to say, I wanted to make sure that my conclusion was correct. And one point that you wanted to make was that the fault is in the people who are not following properly.
Right, because there is no education,
Right.
first of all. They are not even educated in the principle.
And they're not studying Shastra.
Because there is no system to educate them.
Yeah. So, and then for today, what goes on in the name of religion and culture, right? It is not based on the proper understanding of the Shastra. It
Right.
is a perverted understanding based on their perverted desires. Right?
That's what human beings do. They try to fulfill their desires by taking shelter of anything which has power. Religion also gives power. It is a very big instrument to convince people, make followers, make them do things. And it is democracy, so you can get votes in the name of religion. All kinds of things you can do. You can unite people, you can make them fight against another community.
In the name of religion, you can use the principles of religion to control and manipulate and exploit others.
Right. That's what politicians are, that's what they do.
Not just politicians, but even the religions themselves, those in
No,
leadership.
they are also
of religions,
politicians.
You know,
They are not religionists, they are also politicians.
So if we take the opportunity, then it is in this very life we can go to Krishna.
Yes.
Really?
Why not? Okay.